The climax of NFL free agency is pretty much over. And now, while teams are getting ready to shift their focus to the NFL draft, on today's episode, I want to talk about some NFL overreactions that I've seen and let you know whether I believe some of them or not. Do the Broncos now have a top five wide receiver? Is Trey Hendrickson better for the Ravens than Maxx Crosby? Those are just a few. I'm going to break some more down. But before I go ahead and talk about it and break it all down, you know you gotta hear the music first.
Welcome to your number one spot for all NFL news and content, NFL Central.
What's going on, football fans? Welcome back into another episode of NFL Central, your number one spot for everything NFL. I'm your host here, Bobby, and I'm holding it down for today's daily episode. So if you tuned in, like what you like today, listening to at least there is, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, man. This is a place where football fans can come and talk football, regardless of who you root for every single Sunday or whatever day we have a kickoff. But hey, as you already know, there is some overreactions. There are some guys or some outlets going out there and having their think pieces. And I'm pretty sure some of you all who are football fans have your own overreactions or questions that you may have about certain moves that were made over free agency. And before we get started on our draft content starting next week, I want to just go over some overreactions that may be true or may not be true. So we just gonna go ahead and kick this thing off with the very first overreaction statement that I've seen across social media. And we gonna break it down. The first one is the Broncos now have a top five wide receiver duo. Overreaction or not? Me, I say it's an overreaction simply because though I believe Courtland Sutton and Jalen Waddle could be a very good wide receiver duo, I believe they have so much to show us on the actual football field. If we talking about some of my best wide receiver duos, I put together a top five list that I believe are ahead of Courtland Sutton and Jalen Waddle, at least currently present today. My first wide receiver duo, I think most people will agree, and y'all let me know. It's going to be Ja'Marr Chase and T. Higgins. What else more do you want me to say? These guys are going to go out there every single Sunday as long as they're healthy and put on a show. You got Ja'Marr Chase, your very versatile wide receiver who can just do it all. T. Higgins is going to add on to that. To really could go on somewhere else and be a number one himself, but has decided to be the running mate of Ja'Marr Chase. And hell, I'm not mad at him either. So, number one, Ja'Marr Chase and T. Higgins. Number two, I'm going with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. Yes, I'm going with the duo in Dallas to go out there and say they are the second best wide receiver duo, at least heading into the 2026 season, simply because I think CeeDee Lamb is one of those guys that can stretch the field. He definitely had his flaws last year with a couple major crucial drops. But I think when you add him alongside George Pickens, who was very, very dynamic outside of a few games late last season, I got to slot him in at number two. At number three, I got the Detroit Lions duo in Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams, simply because both of these guys, they add so much speed. They are a threat every single down. They both will go out there and block. And when Amon-Ra missed a couple games last season, Jameson Williams went up and stepped up to the occasion. So that's my number three wide receiver duo. Number four, I'm going with Puka Nacua and Davante Adams. These are not the fastest wide receivers like some of the wide receivers just previously mentioned. However, they can just cook. a route running tactician in Davante Adams and a really good route runner in Puka Nacua who can make tough catch after tough catch. And if you give Davante Adams any opportunity to catch a pass, he can go right over the top or go right through you and catch the football. And so that's my number four. And then at number 5, this is where it's going to get a little bit controversial from some people that watched last season and seen the Eagles offense not really perform well. But number 5, top 5 wide receiver duo, at least ending the season and heading into 2026, I have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. And we already know when that Eagles offense is clicking, those two guys are very, very dangerous. So there's the top 5 wide receivers that I have, which is Jamar Chase, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams at 3, Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams at 4, rounding off and finishing with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith at 5. So where do you put Courtland Sutton and Jalen Waddle? I gotta see it on the field. I don't even know if I want to put them in top 10, but I'm not gonna be disrespectful to them and say that they don't have a chance to get it near the top 5. But there is an opportunity. But I am interested in wide receiver duos, especially one that's new on the list, DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman. And I'm interested to see how Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, make up for the lost time last year with, and hopefully Jordan Addison can keep the off the field stuff down to a minimum. So those are my top 5. I do believe it's an overreaction to call Courtland Sutton and Jalen Waddle a top 5 wide receiver duo today, but we'll see what happens in the year of 2026 when the season starts later this year. The next overreaction I have is Trey Hendrickson is better for the Ravens than Maxx Crosby. It's an overreaction to me. I don't think Trey Hendrickson is better for the Ravens than Maxx Crosby. Now, if you want to go out there and have the point of, hey, they get a good pass rusher alongside with their draft picks, fair argument. I'm not mad at that. But I think that the better overall pass rusher is Maxx Crosby. We're talking about being able to wreck multiple games throughout the season that could have helped propel the Baltimore Ravens and given them a chance within their division and the AFC conference. Then I believe he's a better guy in run support. And then I just believe that coming off of that knee injury, it's not going to be as big of an issue as Trey Hendrickson coming off a core muscle injury. So I believe anybody that's saying that Trey Hendrickson is better for the Ravens than Maxx Crosby, I think it's a bit of overreaction. But we know nothing is going to be proven until it happens on the football field. We'll see what happens. My next overreaction that I've seen around social media and from some outlets or some of their articles is teams overpaid mid-pass rushers. It's not an overreaction. It's not. I think it's on par, to be honest with you. Not to say that any of these guys that I'm about to list aren't good, but man, was these paydays kind of crazy for the production that lined up with said players. The first one I want to talk about is Jaelan Phillips. I'm not one of those guys that's going to act like he didn't go to Philly last year and have himself a really good time over there in Philly. But to sign a guy to 4 years, $120 million contract and only had 5 sacks, 53 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, it's just not. The money ain't matching with the production. And year prior to that, he was injured with the Miami Dolphins. He only played 4 games. So there's some injury history you got to worry about. And then I would like to see more production, but I guess the market is the market. The next guy, Odafe Owe, who signed with the Commanders, 4-year, $100 million contract. He did have a strong season with the Chargers last year, but now that you're going to be one of the main guys with the Commanders, can you go out there and match your production in 2025? 2025, he had 7.5 sacks, 38 total tackles, 8 tackles for loss with Baltimore and the Chargers last year, which are really solid numbers. But again, I like to follow the track record. And out of the track record, it's only 1 year he had a really good year prior to last year. So it's just one of those questions. Not saying that he's not good, but there is some validity to say that maybe these teams overpaid for mid-pass rushers. That's just me. Last person I want to talk about, just to kind of support why I believe it's a not quite an overreaction for some people to say that these guys are mid pass rushers is Boye Mafe, edge from Seattle, who signed with the Bengals on a 3-year, $60 million deal, $19 million guaranteed. For the Seattle Seahawks, he only had 2 sacks, 31 tackles, 4 tackles for loss. Spent the entire season with Seattle. Is that good enough? Again, not saying that these guys can't go to their new destination and rise up to the occasion, but man, it's a hefty price to pay for a lot of unknowns, in my personal opinion. So those are some overreactions, and I have one more overreaction that I've seen that I feel is very, very interesting. These quarterbacks' careers are on the line. J.J. McCarthy and Tua Tagovailoa. And I'm adding in another one. Justin Fields will be good for the Kansas City Chiefs. Overreaction or not? I don't think it's an overreaction. Simply because the quarterback careers that are on the line when we talk about J.J. McCarthy and Tua Tagovailoa, hey, J.J. McCarthy, the Minnesota Vikings let you know how they absolutely feel about you by first going out to getting Kyler Murray, and then secondly, re-signing Carson Wentz. They really are backing you into a corner and say, if you don't get your stuff together, you're out the door, buddy. So that's not an overreaction to me for saying that his career is on the line. Secondly, Tua Tagovailoa, career is on the line. Nobody believes that he can remain healthy for an entire season. Everyone, when he gets tackled and sacked, is afraid. Literally. Can he push the ball down the field? Not necessarily. Will he now be moved to a backup in favor of Michael Penix? That's what it's looking like. So I don't think it's an overreaction for this sake right here for J.J. McCarthy and Tua. Now, point B to the whole situation is that Justin Fields will be good for the Kansas City Chiefs. Me personally, I think he will be good for the Kansas City Chiefs. The expectations for the Kansas City Chiefs is to have Patrick Mahomes come back. And he will. The biggest question is, when will he come back? You look at that type of situation, you say Justin Fields, you could probably just hold us down. Let's just say, for the sake of discussion, 4 games. I think that's good enough for Justin Fields to go out there and hold it down for 4 games, including that you're going to have a whole entire offseason to where you can go ahead and just learn behind an offensive mind like Andy Reid, learn behind a guy that should have still been the offensive coordinator over there in Eric Bieniemy, learn their system, get coached really, really hard with the first time in your career offensive-minded coaches that knows what's required. Justin Fields, throughout his career, has been with Matt Eberflus, defensive head coach. Mike Tomlin, defensive head coach. Aaron Glenn, defensive head coach. He did have 1 year with Matt Nagy in Chicago. However, the plan was for him to not start that season. They get him out the way. He spent time with a buffoon in Matt Eberflus, and that starts the trend. And even some can argue that in Pittsburgh, his 6 games that he played going 4-2, they was all right. Not necessarily or totally bad, but they were all right. Not going to say good or great, but all right. So to come in and spare Patrick Mahomes a little bit more time, whether that's 2 games, 4 games, I think it'll be good for him, the Kansas City Chiefs, and his career. The other 2 guys, their job is on the line. For starting, we know Justin Fields is only going to start for a short amount of time, and he's going to be the backup. The other 2 guys, previous starters, fighting for their lives right now. So I don't think it's an overreaction. But that is it for me. Not going to hold you all too long. Let me know how you all are feeling about the overreactions that we covered today. Broncos now have a top 5 wide receiver duo. Trey Hendrickson is better for the Ravens, is more better for the Ravens than Maxx Crosby. Some teams around the NFL overpaid mid-pass rushers, and the QB careers are on the line in Tua Tagovailoa along with J.J. McCarthy, and Justin Fields may be good for the Kansas City Chiefs. Those are the overreactions that I had. Let me know some of your overreactions that you may have or seen and you want to comment on, and commenting on the overreactions right here that we presented today. I think it'll be good for football discussion. Again, this is right. This is just a kind of now pass the baton on to the NFL Combine coverage that myself and Steve-O are going to be bringing you all starting next week. So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well, man. Again, this is a place where all football fans who love talking football, love their teams, but also love the game to where they could talk about some of the best players around the league, some of the worst things that's going on, some things that are affecting it, and come join the football family, man. But that is it for me today, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning in to another episode. Hey, y'all already know. Make sure y'all always love football, and I'm going to catch y'all on the next one for sure. Peace.
This has been a presentation